Welcome back for another Sins of the Solar Empire 2 video. This game, I am not actually playing a game. I have some things about the game that I really want to talk about. Go into detail about some of the ships, some of the planets, some of the items, some of the things about Vasari Alliance that I like, some of the things that I don't like, and just a better way to hopefully get better at this faction for me, even more so than everybody else, but then others as well that may or may not just be learning it for the first time. Alright, just to start with, just to show you what I have had researched, just to get to this point of the game where I can talk about what I want to talk about. I do have Empire 1, Empire 2, Empire 3, and Empire 4. Reason I wanted to get there was I wanted the crystallizing gas refinery for gas planets unlocked so that I could talk about it. And then otherwise I have all of the planets upgrade paths all the way done except for the volcanic over here and I'm going to grab the Terran mining while we're here talking about it, and desert mining and a couple of these planet items while we talk, and I'm going to unlock it after I talk about the gas giant over here. First off though, I thought we could talk about the ships. So we're going to zoom in on the first ship, which is the Kortul Devastator. This is a level 1 ship. The other thing I meant to show, I do have Weapon 3, Hull 3, and Weapon 3 unlocked on ships. I have Supply unlocked, and I have the ship kill experience unlocked. I have nothing else unlocked right now. So I wanted to show what this ship's damage would be capable of at level 1, and then I've got a level 6, I believe, with no items on it as well. We'll talk about the items shortly. So the first thing about this ship that you'll notice, we'll talk about shield. It's got 1860 shield at base, 960 armor with an armor strength of 132. That essentially makes your durability 632 while you're being shot through that 960 armor. It has a hull points of 3275 at base and antimatter of 225. It's got a max speed of 660, which isn't fast, but it's not slow. And it comes with 3 bombers. It has the 1 heavy wave cannon item, or 1 heavy wave cannon weapon. You'll notice it is a front mounted cannon, and then the firing arc is this green sweep here. It looks to be about, I'd guess, 10 degrees forward, side to side, and then 10 degrees up and down. You have 6 beams that do 8, they start with 8 damage, but because I have the 6 bonus, it's at 8.5. So we'll look at the beams real quick. We have beam 1 right here, beam 2 right here. They are both forward facing, so they'll go a little bit to the center. You have to basically be directly targeting something in front if you plan on hitting this one towards the front. Same with this one. They have to be facing the target directly for it to hit. Otherwise it'll hit things in its periphery as it's sweeping across. And then each side looks to be about 60 to 75 degrees off center that it can shoot, and then it shoots all the way up and down. There's not usually too much verticality in this game, but they made sure that the most important thing is that it sweeps kind of this wedge in the front. So there's your first 2. The second one is back here. This one is basically a 360 degrees around, and then anywhere essentially along this side of the ship, with the exception of this tiny little circle or cone right here in the middle. So it's got a little bit that it also shoots up front. Same thing on this side, they're mirrored. So when you are shooting a target directly in the front, this ship can hit with 4 of its 6 beams. The other 2 beams, sorry about that, are rear facing. You'll notice that the purple sweep only faces rear and the green sweep only faces rear. So these two can only shoot backwards. So when you calculate the damage of this ship, I've talked about it in one of my other videos, where it only has 4 beams that shoot forward for a total of 32 beam damage up front. And then it's got the one phase missile, which is this big purple sweep, and this large green sweep, which is basically a 180 degrees forward. It does 21.2 damage per second and 600 pierce. So when it comes to this ship and shooting at targets, this is, I'm going to argue, you end up building a lot of these, even if you are winning, even if you're losing. This ship comes out a lot. Couple of reasons why it will come out is the power surge ability, which has energy weapon reload, which is both your beams and your waves, and then it has a shield restored on it. The first rank is cooldown of 30 seconds, costs 60 antimatter, has 24 duration. We'll look at the level 6 one. The level 6 has level 3 on it. It's got 72% energy reload speed, 36 shield per second for 72 seconds with a 90-second cooldown. One of the beautiful things about Visari capital ships is you can get a couple points in the utility tree. Once you get to, I believe it's level 3 for this ship, you have, your cooldown is quicker than the duration, so you can cast this freely on cooldown. Actually, do I have that right? Yeah. Ability cooldown, I think it's 12%. So that gets you pretty close. It gets you to 80 seconds or so. So that gets you real close. This fourth one gets you definitely there. So if you have a lot of capital ships, get to level 4, specifically for your Kortul, it will have level 3 power surge at roughly 70 seconds cooldown. So I'll finish talking about it here. You'll notice this ship has 21 or 29.1, 8.5, and 21.2 on it. If we look at the other one, this one has 34.5, 10, and 25.1. Reason being is because all capital ships get a slight bump in damage as they level up on all of their weapons. The other thing, this one has more shield, more armor, and more hull than the previous one. This one's got 22,590, 1335, and 4365. If I go back to the other one, it's 1860, 960, and 3275. Your armor strength also seems to go up. If I looked at that right, 132. Nope, 132. Armor strength stays the same, but you get more of everything as it levels up. So power surge is your deals damage or deals more damage, takes more damage, or is able to restore more shield while it's getting shot. Second one is jam weapons. It is an AoE. As you can see, it's about the same size as the range of this ship. I'll go to the other one just because I have it leveled up higher. So it is 24% weapon reload increase, a reduction of 48% weapon tracking speed, and duration of 36 seconds with a 60-second cooldown. Go back to the other one. 30-second cooldown, 18-second duration. Again, with this one, if you get to about tier 4, this one still has a little bit of downtime, but you're pretty close to maxing out on that one. It actually has a slightly longer duration, but a much longer cooldown at level 2, and level 3 I believe is the same. Disrupt armor, you'll see I haven't put any points into it at this point, even after having done quite a few of the map clearing. Disrupt armor does not really do a whole lot. as you can see, your ship here has 132 armor strength. This stacks for a total of minus 18 armor to a target you're shooting at, which is going to be negligible when it comes to an increase in damage. This is the last skill you should take. I think I've said in some other videos that I've gotten this before when I've had antimatter issues. I don't even think at this point you need to be getting this, even if you have antimatter issues. This should be skilled on 8, 9, and 10 on the ship. Chances are you're not even hitting it at that point, depending on what kind of game you're in. Volatile Nanites is a great ultimate. It is probably I believe it's our only AoE ultimate for our faction. So Marza has Missile Barrage. It's very clearly the best capital ship ultimate ability in the game. We have Volatile Nanites. It's a close second. Sorry about that. It's a close second. So what happens is you apply a debuff to enemy forces in a location. Any enemies caught by it get a debuff on them. So they take an extra 18% damage for 1 minute. And anytime you kill a ship in that radius, it does a 240 damage explosion within 500 range of itself. And just to, I don't believe we have anything that says 500 range. So this is 9,000. 500 range is actually probably going to be about, I'd say about the nose to here. So anything that's grouped up starts to kind of chain react and explode upon each other. And it does have 100 pierce, so it does do really well into light frigates. It does really well into basically anything with 200 durability and lower. So this will help knock some of the light frigates out of your opponent. To build this ship, it does take 2 Tauronite and 1 Endurium. So Tauronite is actually one of the things that we end up, as a Visari, needing the most of. We build Kortils with this. We build the Kortul Devastator with it. It goes on all 3 of our ship weapons. And then it goes into hangars on the starbase. It goes into the starbase. It goes into both weapons in the starbase and bomber armor on the ships in the defense category. It also goes on the Dark Fleet Tower, the weapons lab that can be put on a couple different planets, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then that's most of the important stuff. So Tauronite is I would say the most critical of the exotics that we have to get, because it goes into so many important weapon damage items. Go through the ship items for this ship. So the first one is the consumable for the antimatter restoration. I highly recommend purchasing this on this ship. It is a very antimatter hungry ship, because you want to be constantly able to cast Power Surge and jam weapons. And both of these, as you can see, cost 120 antimatter and 90 at these levels, and you only have 325 antimatter. So you can basically cast 2 of these, and then you can maybe get 1 more, it'll be 1 more jam weapons before you are completely tapped out on antimatter. So getting the extra antimatter restore is critical to keep your ship in the fight longer. The second one is the Nano Repair Swarm. I would argue you want this on every capital ship when you get into an engagement of even strength. It has a 30-second cooldown for 36 seconds, and you want this casting as soon as you break through armor the very first time you get hit into armor. It does hull and armor regeneration of 12 per second over the total 30 seconds, which is, let me do quick math, 360 hull or armor. And as we talked about, armor is stronger than hull. So we want that armor to build up as much as we can to keep our ships alive. You can leave these on manual cast if you want to very specifically target a ship. What will happen if you leave it on auto cast is, let's say that you use it. As you can see, the duration is 36 seconds, and the cooldown is 30. So as soon as that 36 second duration ticks off of the ship on the positive buffs, it will cast a new one on it if there's only one available target. For the most part, it avoids shooting these on frigates, but it will occasionally shoot them on some of the cruisers that you have instead of your ships. So if you want to do it automatically, it's a nice heal for some stuff. If you want to do it manually, there's no reason to stack it because they don't stack. So if you had one on your Kortul and I had another one on my excavator, it's not going to stack two different heals at a time. But I would say it's one of those stackable heals, which we'll get into some of the heals in a little bit. The Nano Attack Swarm is a decent damage early game if you are fighting an enemy capital ship. It will do 200 damage spike to start, and then it will do another 600 damage over 20 seconds. So it's a total of 800 damage. I believe it has a 300 or 400 or maybe even 500 pierce rate. I have not looked through it, but I do know that you can use one of these pretty much on cooldown on an enemy capital ship, and it can do a sizable amount. It'll basically do the same amount of damage as your beam weapons will do for that duration with this ship. So early game skirmishes, I actually recommend it. Later game, I don't know if it's going. It's got you've got a slot economy on these ships, and this one just doesn't make the cut late game. But early game and even mid game, I would say Nano Catalyzer and the Nano Repair, just because you're not going to be spending, as you can see, all of our ship items except for the phase attenuated shield cost us exotics, and you will probably be using your exotics to build more ships, more so than you're going to be doing anything with consumables. So it'll be mostly these two, probably this one, and then that's it. That'll be all of your capital ships the whole game. I will talk briefly about this. We can get the Deploy Orculus Starbase, put it on a ship, and then place it. The Colony Frigate actually can carry these as well, so it's really whatever ship you choose to keep it on when it comes to carrying those around. Next are ship items. The Kortul actually does really well with the beam modulator. It stacks with your power surge. So if you use power surge, I didn't show how much damage you get up to with it on. So with it active, you get up to 59.4 on the heavy wave cannon, 17.3 on the beams, and then 25.1 on the heavy phase missile. I'm going to let that run. Actually, no. Well, I'm not going to get that run. I need to talk about this planet then if I'm going to let it run. So this is the gas giant. It does not come with mining on it. It comes, in this case, it comes with 7 extractors. This is really the only reason to get this planet, is you can get about 2 crystal and 1.5 metal. And otherwise it does come with a unique on-planet item. I do not recommend getting this item. As you can see, it costs 2 exotics to place it. You need 1 for the research, I believe, and then 1 to place it on the planet. And the cost of 1350 metal and 1485 crystal for only 1.5 or 1.4 crystal is just not worth it to you. The payback on that is somewhere in the 40 minutes to put this on your planet. That's the main thing I want to talk about, is if you do get a gas giant, only ever put extractors on it, and know that you're basically trying to cover the cost of your logistics and the cost of your extractors to even put them on this planet. You could get the Matter Hyper Compiler that will take this 1.4 surface and maybe up it to 2, basically. I don't recommend putting anything on this planet that doesn't need to be here, and if anything, I would say you maybe want to put the Unassailable Fortress and maybe the Frontier Colony uplink on it. But anyway, we'll go back to it. So if I lose that planet, we'll see what happens. Where was I on ship weapons? So the beam modulator is actually quite good. It has a passive of plus 24 damage. It has a duration, or it's got an active on it where it increases another 48% up to a total of 72 for 1 minute with a cooldown of 4 minutes. So you basically have a 25% uptime on the active portion of it. And we do have some sizable beam upgrades for this ship. I'm not going to get close to it because right now it's making too much noise. The next one is the phase missile augments. This one has bonus of 12% damage. It has an active of about 50% uptime where we get an extra 24% shield bypass. I don't think that this item makes the cut if you have unlimited resources. We'll talk about my ideal loadout at the end, but I don't think that this makes the cut for anything other than the Vulcarus Desolator, just because of the amount of missiles that come out of that one. The next one is the Wave Modulator. Oh, I didn't talk about the beam one. So we do have the beam upgrade available in Tier 2, and then we have another increase at Tier 4. If for some reason you have, like I said, extra exotics and you're at Tier 4, this upgrade is basically 150% bonus damage on your beams. So this is a beam focused ship when you're fighting capitals. The phase missiles aren't really something that you're terribly worried about. And then the heavy wave cannon, because it only has 240 pierce, is not going to be something that we are really focusing on. Wave modulator, again, I don't think that this is a good enough weapon to put on any ship other than maybe our Titan. The Kortul is the only of the capital ships that actually has a wave cannon with over 200 pierce on it. We'll look at the Skrontra, it's got 120 pierce. I know the Egg has 120 pierce. And then there's the two mediums, which are on the Antarak and the Vulcaros. But if it comes down to wave modulator, this is the only ship that you can put it on. I do not recommend putting it on this ship, however, though. The bonuses and the cost just do not make sense. 24% damage on 240 pierce. I mean, you can chew through some light frigates, but that's really all it's going to do. It is kind of fun if you have unlimited resources and you're stacking against the AI. You can get a 48% bonus damage and a 24% reload, and I think you can get slightly over 100 with level 3 power surge for DPS on the wave cannon. So it'll chew through light frigates, it'll chew through the weaker cruisers, but it's not something that's there to write home about. Phase attenuated shield. This shield regen does not stack with your power surge. Power surge is a flat 36% bonus. It is not, I think it's 12, 24, and 36 flat bonus. That does not get amplified by this 24%. This passive of 24% only applies to your passive shield regen. and that would mean this one here, so we get the max shields and the shield regen. So it would additively stack with those. If you have these two items, the shield burst does interfere with your shield regenning all the time. So it's not going to regen with the standard regen. So I'm very hit or miss on reverse engineered shields for this ship, just because the power surge, once you lose shields on this ship, power surge will continue to run, but the reverse engineered shield or the shield burst will also activate, so you're not getting passive regen. So you are getting passive regen with this. Maxed out, I think it's around 14 a second, which is actually pretty good. It basically counters out one illuminator from the advent, or it cancels out one can rack by itself just on regen. It does have an active on it that I think is super critical when it comes to fighting against another Visari, because you block all phase missiles for 1 minute with a 3-minute cooldown. So 33% uptime to completely negate enemy phase missiles from another Visari. Now this does trigger actively as soon as any phase missile is about to hit you. So you could have it get shot at one time by a bomber, and this will auto trigger on its own. So you have a choice to leave it on manual, you have a choice to leave it on auto. If you leave it on auto, like I said, any damage, actually I don't even think it's just phase missiles, I think any damage activates the active on this. So it's not exactly smart about it, but if you are fighting a Visari with a lot of phase missiles, even just having it incorrectly applied is probably not the end of the world. It'll still save you. The self-repairing armor is actually a great item to have on this ship. We've already kind of talked about how powerful armor is for this faction. We do get a bonus armor here if we get 12%, up to 30%, and then an extra 36 strength. So having a lot of armor is good. This is the only item that gets us armor regen on all of our ships at any given time, and it gives you an extra 180%, so it's roughly, I believe, 10 to 12 armor per second, which is great. It will stack with a Scarantra using nanite armor and repair cloud, as well as the nanite repair swarm. So I do recommend this if you can afford it. It is a nice to have. I would not say it's I would say it's probably, like I said, 1, 2, 3 are probably the 3 you have, and then this is the 4th nice to have, or this is a 4th nice to have after the repair swarm, especially mid to late game when you can afford to build it. Bomber armor I don't think is worth getting on anything except for maybe the Scarantra, but even the Scarantra wants different items, so I actually don't think that this is something we want to get on any of our ships. 12 extra armor is not going to make or break it. As you can see, these have 45 armor already, and I've upgraded these with this here for extra hull and extra hull armor strength. 12 extra armor points is not going to even make these worth getting. So I don't recommend getting bomber armor on anything unless you're trolling or playing against the AI. Gravity stabilizer, actually not a terrible thing to get on this ship. Most capital ships are slower than frigates and cruisers, so it's actually a decent item to have on everything. It does cost a blue kaolinite to get, and the research is kind of expensive, but if you have the resources, This one's situationally good if you think you're fighting against somebody who's going to be really fast. It does stack with the Distort Gravity, so that combined with the Gravity Stabilizer, and then also combined with the Tachyon Boost, can actually give you quite the decent move speed in your gravity well. I haven't really talked about this one yet. This one gives you 75% move speed for, I believe it's either 1 minute or 2 minutes with like a 4-minute cooldown or something. So if you're running from a fight, this is a good one. Or if you know you can chase somebody across a gravity well or have to get somewhere quickly, place this on a gravity well, and your capital ships end up reaching somewhere around like 1200 move speed or something, the same speed as your light frigates. Resonance Amplifier, I don't ever really get that item. It is a tier 2 item down here. With phase resonation, you can get, instead of having it last for 1 minute, you can get it up to 3 minutes. But if all you do is you go to tier 3, you can get the same 120 seconds here. It does then stack with the 180, which gives you a 9 minutes of phase resonance. Now, 9 minutes may or may not seem a lot. You're not usually hanging out in a gravity well for 9 minutes at a time. So once you have gotten to this point here, there's definitely no reason to have the resonance amplifier on almost anything. And then, as I said, the antimatter recharger, maybe that would take the place of the catalyzer swarm at some point. I don't think that the extra regen is all that good. It's currently you get 1.2 antimatter per second. This bumps you up to basically 2.4 per second, and you can just get 12 here for 6 seconds. So you get 72 here every 30 seconds. This doesn't even keep up here, so it's whether you want to keep spending here or you just want to fire and forget here. This one has a lot of premeditated research. You have to get through at least max antimatter of 24% and 24% regen. That 24% regen basically moves you up to, I believe it's 1.5 instead of 1.2. So it's not huge. Otherwise, we have the minor faction items. Where is it? Not Smuggler's Den. Jump Field Stabilizer, I don't hate on this ship. I don't hate it really on any ship if you can afford it. This one in particular basically means you'll get out much quicker. It does stack with our our phase jump charge time, so you get a 124% phase jump time speed, which basically cuts our jump in half, or the charge time to jump in half. So this one's actually pretty good to have if you think that you either need to get there quickly or you think you're going to get focus fired and you can get a ship out of the gravity well. The other one that I think is situationally good, and I would actually even take one of the consumables and toss it off the ship if you have a high level Kortul here, and throw the crippled hull on. Crippled hull instantly doubles the crippled hull points. The crippled hull by itself, I believe, and I'm guessing here, but I believe it's the complete points from shield plus armor plus hull, and then you stack it up together, and that's your crippled hull. The crippled hull itself will double that. So if you know that you're getting focus fired and you really need to keep a ship alive just for a little bit longer, this is something that is worth getting on your ships. So I do highly recommend that. And where is this one? The other one that might be important is if you can afford to get up to level 3 on Aluxians, because you may be going for exotic vault anyway. But the increase to ship kill experience plus the cooldown ability cooldown percent is actually also very good. So I do recommend getting some of these items just in case. It's not. This one is really good. It's mostly good on your Titan versus good on the Visari. So I do actually think that this one would be worth getting if you need to quickly level a Kortul and you don't have another way to do it, or you think you're just going to keep steamrolling your opponent, you can get this on there instead. So other researches, we'll talk quickly in the tree here. Shock and Awe, I don't really use this one too much. I probably should start using it more. I think it has to do with bombing. I don't think you get it just by the ship showing up. I think you actually have to be bombing the planet for this to apply. So there's really not much to do there. I don't think our culture has anything to do with these ships. No, it doesn't. The antimatter regen, as I said, the only reason you would get these is more for the max antimatter than the regen. The regens are pretty small because your base is already super small. So these don't really give you a whole lot as far as buffing your ship. We can get the optimized construction if you ever get up to tier 4 economics. Really, that's only going to apply if you're playing a 5 versus 5 and you're the eco slot. And even then, I don't know that you're necessarily getting up to this point anyway. You're really just getting here and then going elsewhere. I do like these two technologies on it, the phase jump charge time and the phase jump speed. As a Visari, as the Alliance, getting around your own systems actually is probably pretty helpful, especially if you're sandwiched between allies. It does apply to ally planets. So if you are not on the edge of a teammate and you're jumping towards a friendly teammate's planet, you get this bonus phase speed. This is really helpful if you are chasing an enemy into an enemy-friendly planet from either your own planet or their planet. You will get there that much quicker than your opponent. Gives your ships a chance to turn around, gives your ships a chance to apply damage. So you'll get there quickly. We already talked about that one, and that's it here. As far as researches to get, the pulse, there's no pulses on this ship, so you'll end up getting these for other reasons, but this isn't, you don't get these for this ship. The wave cannon's 24% damage. While it does buff your damage, you're probably not shooting at the targets that the pierce is going to matter on these, so we don't really need to get these. You'll get this for your oppressor, and it's just a thing that shows up on this ship, so I don't think that this is all that good. Beam weapon damage bonus is really nice, so I do recommend getting that, mostly because all of our capital ships, I believe, have a beam. The Scarantra does not have a beam. The other 4 do. Because of the pierce on them, you actually do want these leveled up, so I do recommend getting that. Phase missiles, you're not going to go out of your way to buff the phase missile damage on this. Phase missile damage is really only for the Volcross and not much more, or for your Canrex up here. Turret servos, we don't have any of the point defense on this ship. As you can see, it doesn't apply, and we do get an application of the heavy turret servos. We do get the bonus 10% range. Need to be careful that we don't sit outside of our beam range if you get this one. Really, what's happening is you're getting this to improve your oppressors, make sure that their wave cannons are actually shooting at stuff all the time. But with the weapon range, sometimes ships in this game can get screwy, and they'll sit at max weapon range and not shoot their main weapons. So keep an eye on your Kortul if you do get this one. But this really is a nice to have, but not a critical to have. As far as defenses go, you absolutely want all of the hull you can get your hands on. Basically, all 4 of these defenses in the first tier are critical to get, and I would say don't skip getting them if you can afford it. hull regen is a prerequisite for all the hull strength. This is what gets us able to tank, and what you'll want to do is you'll have hull strength going, or hull regen going, you'll have armor regen going, you'll have power surge running, and you'll have shield regen running all at the same time. They all can run. That's what keeps us alive for the most part as a capital ship race. You do want the extra hull regens here. I believe it ends up being somewhere between 12 and 15 or 12 and 18 hull damage or hull regeneration. So you definitely want to get those as well. We already talked about this one. This one gives you extra armor points. This one also gives you armor points. And then we don't really need this one. This is a nice to have at the end of the day, as is this. And this is a nice to have. We get extra armor strength here and more armor points here. This is unique to Visari Alliance, so we pick this up as soon as we can afford to pick it up. We don't need all for one. And then, as I said, I like to get the shield regen and the 2 bonus shields here, and I personally skip the shield burst. It's only 15%, so I just don't think, I don't feel like it's as good as it gets claimed to be. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I just don't think that this one by itself is something we want to get. And then the extra shielding when we can get it. And then nothing else down here applies for us. I was going to keep going about other things, but I talked way too much about just the Devastator here. So I am going to end the video here and say, yeah, the Devastator is very, very good if you're playing against other players. We can talk about opening strategies. So as Visari, we do get our home fairest planet, and we do get 2 of the red, white, blue, and yellow exotics. Like I said, getting one of these costs 2 red and a white to build it. So if you are planning on not getting any surveys or not getting any exotics, you cannot build both the Desolator and the Kortul from your supply or your beacon. I think that's what it's called. Why am I blanking? Yeah, your fleet beacon. You cannot build both of these with your 2 starting exotics. You also cannot build a Scarantra and a Kortul, because you'll see you have 1 white that it costs here, and you have 2 whites that it costs here, and you only start with 2 whites. So if you are going Kortul Devastator, the only 2 capital ships you can build would be, you could either build another egg and a Kortul, so you'd have 2 eggs and a Kortul, or you can have the Marauder, the Kortul, and your starting egg. And those are really your only 2 choices. As far as exotics go, you have a chance of getting an additional red from your home planet, and then I believe you get a chance of getting some reds and whites on volcanics. So if you can get the fairest home planet, and you get lucky and you don't pull a blue, and then you definitely would survey both of these from the volcanic to get the additional exotics you need. Ices don't help us with that at all. You have a chance of pulling some from the primordial. We'll talk about planets at a different time, but really, if you can find a volcanic, that's where you're going to get the exotics you need to build more of these. And then I don't even remember what you get here. Yeah, it's just 50%, so you have a chance, but not really. All right, so I think that's all I've got on the Kortul. I'm happy to hear what other people have to say about it. What should that have? Yeah, still the same. Happy to hear others' opinions on it, but it is a great ship. It is something that we need to fortify our fleet with more, especially as the game progresses on and phase missiles become countered by either flak or other enemy ships. So continue building more of these, keep your DPS up. and then have fleets of 6 or 7 of these running around. Combine jam weapons with your overseers and the why am I blanking on what that one's called too? Intimidating presence. We can quite substantially lower enemy damage output. So you get minus 24% reload and then minus 15% damage. So it stacks quite high. Alright, I think that's all I've got on this ship. Look forward to another video tomorrow. I'm going to try and do it, just go through the list and do the evacuator shortly after for tomorrow. Thanks everyone, hope you have a great games. See you again tomorrow for another video.